Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with day number 12 of 30 Days of Sketches with Chrissy's Beautiful Life. Today's sketch comes from Lisa Marie, and it is definitely my jam with blocks of papers and nice size photos. I pulled out my Say Cheese collection, and I'm mainly going to be focusing on Say Cheese number 4. These photos are going to be documenting our time at Engine Company number 71. This is the fire station that is on Main Street, USA in Magic Kingdom. And I felt like having the black and white polka dot with the yellow stripe was going to offset all of the red that is going to be in my photos. I love this color combination of black, yellow, and red. One, I think that it definitely embodies fire companies, the black, yellow, and red. But I also just like the way that they look together. So I'm trimming down the papers. The black and white polka dot paper is cut to 11.5 by 11, and the yellow stripe paper is cut at 8 by 10. I did also gut the center of the white cardstock because I knew that I wanted to map my photos on the white, so I wanted to make sure that I could use that paper. I do ink up all of the edges as well as pulling out my corner chomper to round the corners of the black and white polka dot paper as well as the yellow paper. But as I'm looking at the finished layout, most of the rounded corners are covered up with embellishments and or photos. But for the ones that are showing, I do like that rounded look of the papers. Once I get the black and white polka dotted paper down, I do use some washi tape, and I ran out of roll of washi tape, which is always exciting. I use the washi tape on the back of my layouts just to make sure that they don't get snagged going in and out of the page protectors. And I have a lot of washi tape that I don't buy. The washi tape tends to come with collections, warehouse box sales, things like that. And I don't use washi tape in the sense of like I don't put it on the front of my layout. I mainly use it for backing my layouts like this here, or I'll use it when I'm using my Big Shot to make sure that the papers are staying down straight and things like that. But I'm always surprised when I run out of roll of washi tape because I feel like I don't use it that much, but apparently I am. So I have now gotten all of the paper down, and I bring out these photos that I took at the Engine Company number 71. This is actually no longer there anymore. So right after the Sorcerer Magic station closed, which was what was in this building before, Disney decided to bring out the fire truck and put it on display. And they also displayed the helmets, the water buckets, the badges, like all kinds of fun stuff in there. And there is a fire pole, which Eli had a blast pretending that he was sliding down the fire pole. I'm actually going to end up using 4 flip flaps on the left hand side of the layout. I just couldn't decide which photo I liked the best, and I love the fact that it looks like he's sliding down the pole by having that many photos. So in that section alone, there are 8 photos, plus the one that's on the layout itself, so a total of 9 photos. On this layout with the flip flaps, I will have a total of 16 photos, which is always nice to have that many photos. And I love the fact that flip flaps give me the option of adding additional photos without taking up a lot of real estate. And I can have full 4x6 photos on my layout. I purchased mine from Close to My Heart, but they are no longer available. However, they still are available at scrapbook.com under the Simple Stories Snap collections. And then also Creative Memories has them. So I get all of my photos added to the white cardstock. And I also pulled out this 4x4 card that says Magical Memories. And it has a little speech bubble as well as a heart and a star and some faux stitching on it. I think this card is actually from the original Say Cheese collection, like Say Cheese 1, because there was a lot more detail on the cards in the original collection than there is on the most recent collections, and I miss this collection. I still have several pieces of it, but I loved the details that was already added with the printed clusters that they had created for you. Sometimes I would even jazz up those clusters, but it was nice to have a starting point, especially for people who struggle a lot with clusters, to have something that's already there that you don't really have to add anything to at all, and it looks beautiful. Or it gives you an idea of like what clusters can look like and can help you create additional clusters on your layout to match that, or just give you a better idea of what clusters are, especially if you're struggling with it. I am not a designer, and Simple Stories I highly doubt will ever ask me for my opinion, but that is mine. If you work for Simple Stories, or if you know somebody who works for Simple Stories, tell them to please look back at Say Cheese, the original one, and bring us some more collections like that. All right, so I got all of the photos down on the white cardstock. This one photo here was not straight on the white cardstock, so I had to pull it up and straighten it out. And then I'm going to start laying the photos down. This sketch is very simple, and I love simple sketches. And I love the fact that it has just 4x4 or 4x6 photos. Now over on the far right hand side, I did add 3x4 photos, just simply because I had more photos to add to it. So instead of a 4x6 over on the far right, I did put the 3x4s. Once I got this photo down, I realized that the card that I added was not a true 4x6 card. And both of them had already been backed on the white cardstock. And at first I was just frustrated, and then I was like, I'm just going to go with it. I don't really care. I don't care that it doesn't line up. I'll line it up at the top, because that's where you're really going to see the grid style with having the photos at the top and the bottom. So what I decided to do was line up the photos on the top, and then make sure that the photos on the bottom were lined up to the top of the 4x4 card. It doesn't line up at the bottom, and I'm okay with it. I highly doubt that anyone's ever going to notice that it doesn't line up completely. That is one thing that can be frustrating when you're doing grid styles, is that they do really have to look like they line up properly. So I had picked up that photo on the far right hand side, and I tried to fix it by pulling the photo up, which you saw before, and it still wasn't right. I ended up having to recut that white cardstock because it was just off too much. So I got that cut and then added it back down to the layout. Over on the far left hand side, I start working on my embellishment cluster there. I have a viewfinder that I added down, and it says Celebrate Good Times in the very center of it. And then I really wanted to add a fire truck. There was no fire trucks in the Disney collection, which makes sense because there's not really fire trucks at Disney. I think this is probably the only one. I looked through all of my other collections to see if I could find a fire truck, but I really wasn't finding anything that wasn't like really, really kiddish. So I ended up finding this trolley. So I know it's not a fire truck, but it kind of looks like a fire truck. Not really, but I mean, it gives off the vibe of a fire truck. I just went with it. I did start with it up there in the top left cluster, but I found this little boy that I liked better to fit up in that cluster. I felt like he fit better up there, so I added the little trolley to the bottom right cluster with that little brown tag. I also added a little sticker that says Wonder, and then in the upper right hand corner, I added a little tag that says Magical Memories, and then a chipboard piece that has some hearts and stars on it. I'm looking through the adhesive brads, and I find a brad to add to the bottom. It's just a black one with some colorful polka dots on it. And then looking through the puffy stickers, I auditioned a couple of them, but couldn't find anything that I really liked. So I looked through the brads again, and I found a yellow brad. And since I had a brad in two of the clusters, I decided to go ahead and add heart brad up in the upper right-hand corner. I found a sticker that says So Fun, so I added that to the cluster in the upper left-hand side. And then I pulled out my Mickey-shaped enamel dots and added a black Mickey enamel dot at the bottom right and a white Mickey enamel dot in the upper left-hand corner. And I did have to pull out my tweezers because I wanted to make sure that it sit properly. Then I pulled out my thickers. I have all of my black thickers in the drawer right next to me. So I pulled out several different options trying to see what would look best in that area. And I do end up with these black thickers that have a white outline to them. I spell out the word engine, and I thought about doing the word company as well, but then thought that that would be way too big. So I pulled out these really glittery thickers, and I spell out the word company, but I wanted it to line up a certain way. I wanted the Y in company and the E in engine to line up. So I picked up all of the letters and then laid them back down so that they had a right justified look. Then I start looking through my thickers again, and the number 1 is always funny looking to me on thickers. There's a lot of thickers that I won't use because the number 1 just doesn't look right. I did eventually find these black thickers that have a white faux stitching around them, and that's what I like with the number 1. Like, I want the little swoop at the top and the line at the bottom. A lot of times it'll just be like an eye, like it looks like an eye and not a number 1. So I need manufacturers to also know that ones should look like that. So I go ahead and get all of the chipboard pieces down with my liquid adhesive. And that does take me a little bit because this title is actually pretty long. But I do have my T-square ruler, making sure that all of the pieces are straight, and just adding some liquid adhesive. As I'm getting that down, I do want to encourage you guys to check out the playlist listed below to see how everyone else interpreted this sketch. I'm sure there's going to be lots of fun ideas in the playlist. So I'm very sad that this area is actually not there anymore. They had this on display for quite a while, but then decided to take it up. So I am super glad that we were able to get pictures of this area while it was there on display. I did show you all of my flip-flops over there on the left-hand side, and then I pulled out my enamel dots. And my enamel dots, I decided to add some blue. There's only a little bit of blue in the embellishment pieces, so I thought, why not add a blue enamel dot to the clusters as well? And then I pulled out my adhesive brads again and added another adhesive brad to each one of the clusters. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I did do my journaling offline. My journaling says, the fire station of Engine Company 71 stands next to City Hall on the east side of Town Square in Main Street, USA at Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom. The company number 71 plays homage to the year Magic Kingdom opened. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.